be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Once on a Sabbath, Jesus was walking to the standing grain. His disciples were pulling off grain heads, shelling them with their hands and eating them. Some of the Pharisees asked, "Why are you doing what is prohibited on the Sabbath?" Jesus said to them, "Have you not read what David did when he and his men were hungry? How he entered God's house and took and ate the holy bread and gave it to his men, even though only priests are allowed to eat it. Then he said to them, the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath." Sisters and brothers, the Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Lord Jesus Christ.
The Lord is near or close to all who call him. And I hope and pray as men and women of faith, this responsorial psalm today, taken from the book of Psalms, chapter 145, verses 17 to 21, would ring a bell. Especially for the past almost 7 months now, we have been facing and going through this ordeal that is everything that is caused by this pandemic. And yet we should always instill in our minds and hearts as men and women of faith, the Lord is close and near to all who call on him. I'm sure every day we have been calling on the Lord. Every day we have been asking the Lord to finally put to an end this pandemic, COVID-19. But let us never lose hope. Let us continue, my dear friends, to be strengthened by our own hope and faith in God. Remember what the psalmist is telling us today. The Lord is near and close, and that refers to all of us, especially who come every day to hear Mass and to pray at our own homes and residences as well. Remember, the Lord is close and near to us because every day, every moment of our lives, we call on him. The Gospel reading of Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 5 talks about the Sabbath. In today's Gospel narration, my dear friends, we come to the following realizations. Jesus praises, for example, David to relate to the Gospel message. Because King David, my dear friends, made a wise decision to break the law and eat the holy bread only allowed for priests to do. And that is the reason why Jesus made this point, my dear friends. When certain basic needs like hunger surface, these certain basic needs, for example, hunger, take precedence over the law. In other words, let us not and never forget that the laws are made only for the good of the people, and not that people are made for the laws, but laws, good laws that is, are made for the good of the people. And certain basic needs, I repeat again, like hunger, take precedence over the law. And King David made the wise and the right decision. He broke the law and ate the holy bread together with his men. And just as a very short scriptural background, if we look into the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 25, the book of Deuteronomy says, when you walk along a path in someone else's grain field, you may eat all the grain that you may have pulled off with your hand, but you must not cut the grain with a sickle. And that's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 23, verse 25. And if we look into the book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 21, the book of Exodus says, in relation again to our message today in our reflection, the accepted practice was to do what the disciples were doing. Book of Exodus, chapter 34, verse 21. But in the same book, some of the Pharisees objected to their doing it on a Sabbath day. They interpreted, my dear friends, they interpreted the action of the disciples as reaping or harvesting, which is a violation of the Sabbath. Jesus, my dear friends, makes two observations today. Firstly, he cites the example of David, my dear friends, the example of David showing, again as I said earlier, that there are certain basic needs like hunger taking precedence over the law. And the other observation made by Jesus today is, he told the Pharisees that the Son of Man or the Son of God is the Lord of the Sabbath. In other words, he is authority over the Sabbath. My dear friends, today, Jesus is reminding us, my dear friends, yes, we men must respect, not misinterpret what God has ordained. Meaning, the Son of Man or God is an authority over the Sabbath. He is the Lord of the Sabbath. And we must respect, not misinterpret what God has ordained or commanded. That at times, there are certain basic needs, as I said again, like hunger, taking precedence over the law. The laws are made for the good of the people. They are merely means or ways to an end, but not an end in itself.